Welcome to the Climber Dad channel. We're going to be talking about runners or slings. Now that you know how to tie this knot.
If you haven't watched this video yet, I will post a link down in the description, and I'll also post it up at the end of this video that you're watching now.
What can you do with this awesome sling? So it's going to work about the same as a sewn sling. I'll keep them both on me right now. And just so you know, I'm getting all this information from a really good book, Mountaineering, Freedom of the Hills. Now I have the 7th edition that I've been going through. I also had the 5th edition that I've went through and made up a lot of notes and things. This was often referred to as the Climber's Bible. There's just tons of information in here. I will have a link for you down in the description below if you would like to get this book. It's a fantastic book. It's going to go over lots and lots and lots of things for you. First up is going to be the alpine runner or the alpine draw. You're going to take a sling or runner like so. Take your first carabiner. Now this does not need to be locking carabiners. That's just what I have on me right now. And clip it in. Take your second carabiner and clip it in. Okay? Now, you don't want to have a draw this long normally. And this is where the magic of the alpine draw comes into. So you are going to take that first carabiner, or one of the carabiners that you clipped in, and you are going to roll this around. Okay? Let me do that again. I'll hold it up. Okay, so I'm making a loop. And I'm going to clip this in. So it wraps around the bottom of the carabiner here. And when that wraps around the bottom of the carabiner, you take that piece and you run it down. If you're doing it with a tied sling, you have to work with that knot. And you go to your other carabiner. And clip it in. Now it's really important that you set it up just like I showed you. Okay, so now I have a manageable alpine sling. Now normally I still would want to have this a little bit shorter, but because it's a tied runner that we're working with, you can make it shorter. If you want to have it this long, you can have it this long. If you want to have it a little bit longer, you can, because you're in charge. So this is now your alpine sling. If I was going to climb with this, I would want to have something. If I needed something this long, I'd be going over some kind of a roof system where I needed to reduce that drag by extending out my sling. Now, I put a couple of twists in it and wrap it up, and maybe take one carabiner and clip it to the other, and that's how it would go on my harness. Okay, so it's not dangling down, because this is quite a bit. And when I want to use it, I take it out and I clip it in. Now let's say I wanted to really extend this out because it's this gnarly roof that I'm coming over right at the very beginning of it with my anchor. So I will take one end, one strand, and it doesn't matter which strand I take because of how we set it up. I can go on this side, okay, and unclip it. Okay, and I'm good. Or let me set it back up. Okay, so we're back to where we were. I could go from the other side and unclip it, and I'm still good. Now if we don't set it up like this, let's take this out. Okay, let's set it up a different way here. So I'm just gonna run it through like this, it looks the same, doesn't it? But if I take a strand and unclip it here, that's why it's so important that you set it up the way that I showed you. So that's the first thing, is the alpine sling. You can also use it as a personal anchoring system when you get up to the chains. Now if you'll notice here, I've got a carabiner on both sides. That's because I have it set up as an alpine sling. I want to make sure that it is as usable as possible. Now, as of lately, they recommend that you girth hitch your personal lanyard, your safety lanyard, through your harness like so. Next thing you can do is set up your top anchors. If you're going off of a bolt, this is how you do it. At the top, I like to use locking carabiners. Flip, flip. Now they're coming through right here. I'm going to take this down and I'm going to put a twist in it. So I have my loop that's going from carabiner to carabiner coming down, and then from the inside of the carabiner to the inside of the carabiner, that loop has a twist in it. And then I can do two things here. With this much length, you can clip it like that, and then it's a self-equalizing anchor. But I'm just going to go ahead. Let me adjust that knot. This knot is a little bit out, so it's out of the way. I'm going to go to where I'm going to be loading it the most, and I'm going to put an overhand knot in it. Now I'm good. Here's my anchor. I've got my locking carabiner locked, locking carabiner locked, and then it's coming down. It's a nice V. I've got it knotted together, so if one of these sides fails, the other one won't. That's why it's knotted. And then I've got my locking carabiner on the bottom. Now the next thing, I almost hesitate showing you because it is a last resort kind of thing. This, especially if you're using a 9/16 webbing, this is going to be kind of painful. But I've had to use this in certain situations, and it came in very handy. I'm super glad that I knew it. So I'm going to show you, and that is an improvised harness. The first thing that you do is you're going to take your sewn or tied sling, okay? Make sure that these backup knots are nice and tight. Wrap it around your waist. I am going to put that knot in the small of my back. Take your carabiner, clip it in. Now, reach through your legs and pull up a second piece and clip that into your carabiner. Okay, adjust yourself now. Make sure that it's going to be as comfortable as possible. And there you have an improvised harness. The last thing that I want to show you is a Clem Heist knot. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Clem Heist. It's like a pursik knot, except you're going to tie it with webbing. Webbing is a little bit slick, so you're going to start with the loop up here. Go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. After that fifth one, you go through that loop that you created up here. I know where I've got this knot that I tied. Make sure that it's kind of out of the way down on the bottom. This is a really important knot to know because sometimes you can get stuck on the rope and not have ascenders because, you know, if you're climbing, you want to keep it light. So I'm going to dress this down. Okay, there we go. There's the Clem Heist knot. So now I can very painstakingly climb up the rope.
Along with the Clem Heist knot, I am going to be using an auto braking belay device called the Lifeguard as my second ascender. This is a lot like the Gree 2, however it is a little less bulky, and I usually have this on my rack over the Gree 2. I do have both, and if you would like me to do a review and compare the two, I can do that. There's pluses and minuses. I will also have a link down in the description below so you can get your own Mad Rock Lifeguard if you would like. Well, that's it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Please hit that like button if you did, and if you're new here, subscribe. I'll talk to you next time right here on Climber Dad. Rock on.